So I tell men and women that it's best to wait until you get married to have sex. Because when you have sex before marriage, you become addicted. You become drug addict, like a drug. Which do you think is best, the right way, for men and women to wait until they get married to have sex or to have sex out of wedlock?
Well, I would say that I would never marry someone. It would take me probably 3 to 5 years to decide if I wanted to marry someone, right? And it's not something that I would feel compelled to do right away. And would I want to wait that long to have sex with my partner? Probably not. And I think there's other ways that you don't have to have, if that's something that's important to you and you're choosing to like have that as this sacred bond with a partner that you want to marry, there's other ways that you can be intimate or physical with them that doesn't have to involve penetration. You don't have to necessarily have sex. You could have other physical exchanges with them. It could be touching or kissing. If that's something that's important to you, am I going to tell anyone they should or shouldn't? Absolutely not. That's not why I'm here. I think if it's something that's in your value system and means a lot to you, then wait and find other ways to connect to them that isn't necessarily sex.
And when you say, Amy, is it best to wait until you get married to have sex? Or is it okay to do it before marriage?
I think it depends on the person. If you're someone who feels like sexual connection, like alignment, like this works really well when we engage sexually, if that's really important to you, then I would suggest for those people to check it out before you're married. And if you don't know, or you know that it's not that important to you, that it's just something that is for procreation or occasional, or just like, maintenance or whatever, then waiting for marriage, or sure, if that's what you want to do. But I think it depends on the person. I know a lot of people where sex isn't that important. It really isn't like a staple of connection in relationships. And if that's, their feelings, then great. You can wait forever. And, if you have sex with that person after you get married and it really isn't aligned, it's not working really well for either of you or one of you.
Buy a vibrator.
You'll buy a vibrator from purepleasureshop.com and you'll be okay. But if you're that person where it is important, there's plenty of people who want to feel aligned in so many ways. It's not just emotionally. It's not just physically and non-sexual physically. It's not just spiritually. It's also can be sexually. And for those people, why would they not check it out to make sure that it is in a way that feels good and safe to
in reality, real reality, I know that in that fallen state, we use sex for pleasure, as you said. But in reality, sex is only to make babies, right? It's not natural to have sex for pleasure. It's just that when we're in a fallen state, we develop that animal-like nature where there are no limitations. But in reality, sex is really only to make babies, right? This is not love. Sex is not love. It's only to make babies. Am I right about that?
No, not for me.
No. I mean, for you, yes. And for anyone listening to you that agrees, yes.
But God said that it's only to make babies, not for pleasure.
My thought is it depends on what religion you're in, what scripture you're reading, and who you're talking to, and what times you're in. And so what I would bring it back to is then why the pleasure? Is the
because
pleasure
you're in a fallen state and you feel like an animal, and there's no limitation to an animal, and you just do anything, right? And that's why you have to overcome the fallen state so you can do things in a normal and natural way. But in that fallen state, you're like an animal.
Or not the fallen state, the pleasure piece is it's probably there to make it so that when you are procreating for babies, it feels good. It inspires you to do this thing, right? Like, okay, this feels good. And we want to make the baby. So we're going to do the thing that makes it so that we're going to enjoy or desire to make the babies more. Yet that pleasure is still there. And there's so many things, like even let's take sex off the table. Jesse, aren't there things that you do that just feel good for
not
yourself?
Even sexual.
Not even sexual.
It could be maybe stretching.
Yeah, especially when I'm eating some sweet potato pies or candy yam. Good.
Yeah. And that's pleasure. That's like when it feels good. Some people might find pleasure out of out of reading a really cool adventure book, or they might be like really looking forward to that. And I think in terms of being an animal, like the animal kingdom, for instance, there's a lot of diversity and balance in that, right? And animals, like the thing with humans is we have this ability to say what's right and wrong. And it's, if you have pleasure and you're experiencing pleasure from something and someone is there consenting to it and you're married to them and you're done procreating, you've had 6 babies, are you just supposed to stop having any sort of copulation or any sort of pleasure with them because you've already done the procreation?
Right.
And so
Well, you're right about that. Once you make all the babies, now you stop the sex thing and you overcome that and you start to love one another, not based on sex or anything, but natural love. And that's the love that causes the marriage to last until death do you part. Because
so
it's
can you
not
not have sex
based
though
on
after
pleasure.
that? Is there no sex involved after that though? Is it not allowed?
It's not necessary. You can do it if you want, but you love your wife and your wife loves you because you love one another.
But you're not
based
procreating.
on
So
any type of
why would you?
stimulation.
So this is the thing. It's like the chicken and the egg. If you're not procreating and you love your wife and you're done with the children, raising the children, but it feels good, is that animalistic and in not honoring sort of this relationship that you've built that you want to feel good in?
Right, that would be animalistic then. Because don't you want to be loved because of who you and not because of anything else that make the person feel a fake love? Wouldn't you rather have the real love or the fake love?
What if you could have it all, Jesse? What if you can,
which one do
when
you
you're
prefer?
having sex with someone,
What do you
what if you
prefer?
can have real love too?
Which do you prefer, the real love or the fake love?
I feel
I want it all.
there's both. Yes, I feel like you can really love someone and
have sex with
and
them.
have sex with them
for
When-
pleasure.
for pleasure. Yeah.
When are you too old to be having sex? You need to hang it up.
If you're never too old. If it hurts and you're like, this doesn't feel good, my back, my neck, my hip,
stop. Yeah.
yes, then maybe don't go there and do stuff that feels good, right? But I don't think there's any age that you need to stop unless you're going to break a hip. Then don't do it.
Probably
okay?
don't. Yeah, if you're gonna,
then be careful.
If you're gonna break a hip, yeah, and also even if you're if you know you're someone who's about to break a hip, right? And you know traditional penetrative sex, which is for generally for procreation, as you're saying, right? If that's off the table, it's not going to work anymore. Like how we often teach and talk about how sex doesn't just have to be penetrative sex, right? And this is just us. I'm sure other people, everyone defines sex for themselves.
Right.
If sex is penetration, that's for
Some
you,
people
right?
could think kissing is sex.
Exactly.
Right? Is that
Right.
sex?
I know someone who thought hand holding was sex once. It was very cute. They were 16 and they're like, I did all the things. And they just held hands.
Or snuggling. People could be like, that was super hot and sexual.
Crazy.
I just snuggled with someone.
Yeah.